When we hear the word collapse, we tend to picture something big and loud, right? Like buildings falling or markets crashing. But what if the most important collapse of our lifetime isn't like that at all? What if it's quiet? What if it's happening right now, inside of us?
And that quote, right there, it just sets the stage perfectly. It reminds us that some disasters are deafening, but others arrive on tiptoe, almost unnoticed.
And that's the absolute key here. This isn't about a civilization made of stone and steel. We're talking about the civilization of the self. The collapse we're exploring today is internal. It's a slow, quiet erosion of the very things that make you, you.
So let's really get into it. This is our investigation into the silent collapse. We're going to look at the warnings, dig through history for clues, and maybe, just maybe, uncover some fundamental laws of the mind that we've been breaking without even knowing it.
Okay, let's talk about the tools that build us. We love to think that we control the things we create, don't we? But here's a thought. What if that's not the whole story? History has this funny way of showing us that the tools we invent, well, they end up reinventing us.
And you can see this pattern play out over and over again. The bow didn't just help us hunt, it created the first warlords. The plow gave us farming, but it also created serfdom. The printing press spread knowledge like wildfire, but it also unleashed mass propaganda. Every single one of these revolutionary tools completely reshapes society and the human mind. So that brings us to the smartphone, and that big, hanging question mark. What is it doing to us?
Well, the answers are starting to come in, and honestly, they're staggering. A 2023 Harvard study found that in just one decade, the average human attention span has dropped by nearly 40%. Just let that sink in for a second. 40%. This isn't just about us failing to have enough willpower. It's a direct consequence of the new world we're living in.
And this, right here, this is the crucial difference. Think about it. Our old tools were passive. A hammer just sits there until you pick it up. But modern tech? It's completely different. It's an active environment. It's designed to hunt, capture, and then monetize your most valuable resource, your focus. So if our attention is being hunted, what happens next? Well, that leads us to this idea of having a mind for rent. What are the consequences when the core functions of our brain are quietly hijacked and piece by piece rented out?
Psychologists actually have a name for this. It's called cognitive offloading. And it's exactly what it sounds like. We're handing over the heavy lifting of our brains, remembering things, finding our way around, even calming ourselves down to that little glowing rectangle in our pocket. We're outsourcing the very tasks that used to build our mental muscles.
And you can see the results everywhere. I mean, think about it. Back in 1980, you probably knew dozens of phone numbers by heart. Today, you're lucky if you know a handful. Our sense of direction, our spatial memory, it's getting weaker because we just follow a dot on a map. We're even seeing it in classrooms. We're just having a phone on the desk, even if it's turned off, can lower students' focus.
The sheer volume of this is, well, it's just breathtaking. Some recent data shows that teenagers check their phones over 300 times a day. 300. And adults? We're not much better. We spend about 2.5 hours a day just scrolling. That's enough time to read an entire book every couple of days. To really get our heads around how serious this is, we've got to look back in history. The fall of the Roman Empire, for instance, it actually offers us a really chilling lesson. See, here's the thing about Rome. It didn't really fall when its walls were finally breached. The real collapse began way earlier. It started from the inside, when the people lost the internal discipline that built those walls in the first place. And that internal rot, it looks eerily similar to what's happening to our minds today. A loss of focus, a loss of mental strength, a loss of the ability to just govern ourselves.
And this quote, this just nails it, doesn't it? Our minds have become these passive containers for an endless stream of notifications, alerts, and quick-hit content. We have minds that are constantly buzzing, constantly full, but rarely, if ever, deep. Which brings us right to the heart of the matter. Governing your own mind. A civilization falls apart when it can't govern itself anymore. The exact same thing is true for a person. So what happens when a mind loses the ability to be its own master? For centuries, pretty much every culture on Earth understood the power of stillness, of silence. That's where you could actually hear yourself think. But now, we've traded all of that sacred silence for endless noise. Just like the psychologist Carl Jung said, we'll do pretty much anything to avoid being alone with our own thoughts. And today, that avoidance comes in high definition, and it's delivered 24/7.
So what's happened is that the basic constitution of our minds, it's been quietly rewritten without us even noticing. Our attention, which should be like a laser beam, is now fragmented into a million pieces. Our memory is outsourced. Discipline feels optional when an escape is always just a click away. Being alone has become unbearable for so many. And constant stimulation, it's taken the place of real, genuine purpose.
Which, of course, leads us to the big question. After hearing all of this, who or what is the enemy here? Is it the tech companies, the algorithms, the phone itself? But the answer is a little more challenging, a little more personal than that. The real enemy isn't the technology. It's our unexamined, unconscious dependence on it. It's not the tool itself. It's our automatic relationship with the tool that's causing the damage.
But this is where the story pivots. This is where we find some hope. Because if you look at history, a collapse is never just an ending. It's also a beginning. After Athens fell, philosophy flourished. After Rome fell, the foundations of modern Europe were born. Every collapse is really an invitation to rebuild something stronger.
And look, the answer isn't to become a hermit and throw your phone into the sea. The solution is to reject that unthinking dependence, not to reject modernity itself. It's all about reclaiming sovereignty, about becoming the ruler of your own mental kingdom again.
So how do we do that? Well, it comes down to reestablishing a few of these ancient, powerful laws within ourselves. The law of focus, training our attention like it's a muscle. The law of stillness, making time from actual silence. The law of meaning, choosing real purpose over just passive entertainment. The law of self-governance, being the master of our own impulses. And finally, the law of conscience, actually listening to that quiet inner voice.
Because at the end of the day, the human mind isn't broken. It isn't disappearing. It's just forgetting its own power. And this whole silent collapse, it's really just an invitation. It's a call to action, with one final urgent thought. You need to rebuild that inner empire. Because if you don't, you can be absolutely sure that someone or something will be more than happy to rule it for you.
Subscribe and like. See you soon.